Welcome back. This is the 10th part of Kin in Line. This is almost a drawing perhaps of my father, who died in 1974. He was an architectural draftsman, not really an artist. And here I've drawn somebody sort of kind of sketching somebody else. It's not necessarily accurate, or he's holding everything's a bit skew, but I think what I was trying to do was prove to myself that I could actually draw human figures with feet and hands, even though not well done. Note the mouse crawling out onto the floor. So this was a bit of fun. During, I think it was our third year at art school, my third year at art school, we went on an outing to Tsolo in the Transkei, where Jack Lugg had organized with Dr. Ingle, who was part of the Transkei health department, that we would draw some really aids for the health department to teach people about hygiene, etc. And it was a worthwhile weekend. I was fortunate to get my work approved and sort of used by the department. Anyway, this little chap I sketched very quickly somewhere in Solo, and I think it's actually quite a good drawing. Then I think I got little kids, the locals, to do some drawings, and they've actually got a lot of quality. So these were all done by local kids there. African huts. It just shows that, unschooled kids have so much going for them in terms of what they can create, the line, the character. It's really interesting stuff. So here are 2 pages of where I was working on what I produced for them. So it was more illustration, but I think, as with everything else, you combining different methods of doing things and coming out with a style, and this all helps in learning to draw. I mean, these are not from life, but from my imagination, and I think I was starting to create form much better here. So, yeah, hose. It was an interesting weekend. Actually, this looks a bit like Jack Lugg. Maybe I did sketch him. We played, it was now about 1977, so soon after the Soweto uprising. And we played a good bit of football with African children because this was a mission station with a hospital, and there were young chaps, 16, 17-year-old, and we played some football with them. And, there was no animosity. It was actually wonderful. So at some point I sketched this African rondavel. This is the kind of thing that I would get into in a big way, is like cattle, sketching a cow grazing. And here I was unable to do it, a worthwhile sketch. But architecture is something that's easier to do. And I'm quite glad I have this record of a rural Xhosa hut. Some sort of bird. And then, as noted earlier, I was always fixated on chess sets. So there's another effort there. And likewise here. more chess setty things. And actually, I think this one I completed and I made for one of the lecturers out of two colors of wood, sort of a pale brown and a dark brown. Yeah, I tried to sort of use the traditional like shapes of the knight or the castle and just make it in a more modern sort of stylized format. Again, sort of a set, same sort of thing. It was a nice exercise because, in fact, this is the one I finally did use. This is the scale I made it at. So these things were huge. And I still have the chessboard in fact, I still have these. Not quite the same, I think, but maybe this was the one I made for the lecture. Now, we've been here before, so I'm going to have to stop, but I think this drawing book was probably from my penultimate year. So I was using pastel there and quite a good drawing here of this woman reclining. Yeah, I think we'll leave it at that then I can ferret out some new drawing books and see if we can find some progress. Cheers.